everyone please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Helping people sight in guns, and I'm tired and would like to be able to go home myself. The courthouse, as you probably heard, is now closed on Fridays except for court business. So the regular hours from Monday through Thursday are 7:30 in the morning until 4:30 p.m. The clerk's office will be open on Friday with one staff member to accommodate court business only. All right? This is going to result in a considerable savings for the county through our budget. Second point, the equalization director is willing to meet with all the townships at the convenience of the townships to be able to explain her job and the state requirements that she has to have to do that job. Third, District Judge Josh Farrell and 12 other people from Clare and Gladwin counties have been training through grant money to develop a drug court. This is going to be shared between the two counties. Money for the court will be shared equally by the counties. And I have a handout here. I only have 5 copies and it's lengthy, but if you would like to share this, I actually have a handout that explains what a drug court is and how it's impacted and the need to be able to have that, how counties, there's always room up in the front row. Feel free to come.
Lots of room on the front.
Okay? Just like church, fill in these rows first. I will leave these here, and if you would like this to be able to look at, it's quite interesting. It tells the fact that in the first operational drug court was in 1989, there was one. In 2009, there are 2,459. The one that we're having here is rather unique because it addresses offenders who have with alcohol or drugs or drugs. Most of the drug courts focus on just one to be able to work with that. So here are this handout, and it's very interesting. And feel free to share that, and I'll leave them up here. If it's better, would you want me to just leave them on this table? Okay, here they are. The United Way campaign is underway for Gladwin County. All the money that's raised stays in Gladwin County. Jennifer Elkins is urging our citizens to participate in this drive. I have another handout. Former teachers have to have handouts, isn't that right? But it's just easier sometimes if you get the chance. Some people may not know how many agencies are served by United Way in Gladwin County. We have 24. This lists them, a little blurb about them, and when you make your donation to United Way, you can direct which one of these organizations you want that money to go to. Okay? And I asked, I'll leave this here too, I asked Ms. Elkins, what was the administrative costs? You know, you need to know those. Their administrative cost is never more than 23%. This last year, they didn't raise the full amount that they wanted to raise, but Gladwin County United Way is unique in that it owns the building. Okay? So they get rent money for the various groups that utilize, that have offices in that United Way building. They chose to take that rent money and make whole the plan for United Way. And I thought that was very commendable, and that's worthwhile knowing. But this then is also the thing that you can look at, and it can show you if you're not real aware of how much is available and what groups get benefits.
Where is that United Way building?
It's on the north side of Cedar Street, Cedar Avenue. It's like in the middle block between the lights.
Piper City Insurance.
Oh,
Yeah.
Piper's Lounge, you mean, on that?
Yeah,
side?
yep, on that side of the street and maybe a couple of doors down from there, back towards, to the east. But that's where it is, okay? At the open house that was held at Michigan Works Building, the EDC director announced that there are 3 new businesses looking to come into Gladwin County, and they'll have 125 new jobs, okay? There was also talk at that meeting, and I was not there, I got a report today, okay? Midland County is Midland City is out of available commercial space. And so there are companies that are locked in that are looking into Gladwin County to relocate because of the commercial space and things that were here. Now, there's a hook with this, of course. The EDC, the Gladwin County, we now have a new EDC director. And it's partly funded through Michigan Works and Gladwin County. He works only in Gladwin County. His first name is Guy. I can remember that easily. I don't remember his last name, okay? But there has been a financial commitment. And townships, they made a financial commitment, and Tobacco did that, of $500 per township. That 5-year plan has ended. And so now we're looking to develop a 3-year projected thing to be able to see how this EDC is going to benefit. So the county is going to renew its commitment to the EDC, and hopefully the cities and townships will make a commitment of money to retain the EDC and its director also. We're looking for that. The 6th thing I have is that the county is very close to adopting its 2012 budget. And right now, the budget that we have is $100,000 less than the 2011 budget. Okay? And when you look at the price of how everything has gone up, to be able to come in with a budget that's $100,000 less, we're real pleased with that.
What's the total budget?
Over $8 million.
That's not much of a cut then.
Pardon me?
That wasn't much of a cut then.
No, but let's look at some places that aren't making any. Okay? I mean, it's been a very difficult thing to be able to come where we are, and we've worked really, really hard. Is it perfect? No. But I'll tell you that to come up, that this projected budget is at least $100,000 less, and maintaining the 7 to 10% in reserve funding. We're also waiting on the courts because that's what's holding us up to be able to finalize the budget. Okay? And today we discovered the well at the animal control office has to be replaced immediately. It's one of the fun things of serving on the board that have to come up with be able to have that kind of thing, because you got to have water for the animals that are there. Do you have any questions?
Sharon, will the closing of the courthouse on Friday, most of the offices there will be closed, is that going to be permanent?
Yes.
So right through the summer, the winter and the summer?
Yes.
Just next year.
And actually the clerk's office, they kind of did a trial by running one person, having one or two limited people there, and so they kind of worked on a 4-day week all summer. They have more people at the office at 7:30 in the morning than they did on Fridays. One of the advantages for this then too is, for example, last Friday was Veterans Day. Because the courthouse is closed, we're not paying for a holiday. See, and so that's been one of the ways people are cutting back. But we're trying to provide the opportunity for people to utilize the services that they have. But by going in at 7:30 in the morning and working until 4:30, then people can get there before they have to be to work at 8 or at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay? Have any other questions? Yes.
Sharon, are those documents available online in some way, shape, or form? So
What,
we can get to them
these
online,
that are
those
right here?
handouts, yeah.
I can't answer that question. I know Carmen's going to copy them and send them to me. You know, so if I had your email address, I could send it on to you. I don't know what all they put out. I know we'll get our packet once we have our meeting, and I don't know. You can always call the office and ask for them. You know, because these were handed out to us and stuff, and so that's where they are. But it's well worth your time to look at, to be able to understand what the terminology is and what they're looking at. Are there any other questions? Thank you. You're most attentive, and thank you for allowing me to go first. And I'm going home. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Oh, wait. I have one more thing. There were 5,696 people that used the Gladwin County District Library this last month. 2,965 used the computers. And we don't need public libraries. No. It just, your millage that you pay for that library, I'm telling you, it's the best millage, well, that and fire millage, but this is the best millage that gets used, and thank you so much for your support with that.
Does that include Beaverton's library?
Yes, that's the total count, because we go by the district library. It's broken down. For example, Gladwin downstairs had 2,843, Gladwin upstairs had 1,053, and the branch had 1,800. So it's split up. They keep that for each one of the areas. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, Sharon, thank you. Clerk will read the minutes.
Tobacco Township, Gladwin County, regular meeting called to order on October 10th, 2011 at 7 p.m. with the Pledge of Allegiance. Members present all. Minutes of the September 12th, 2011 meeting.
Old business. It was noted things are coming along on the tower. The cement has been poured. Motion by Brubaker, supported by Wise, to pay bills. Check number 12593 through 12620, totaling $79,533.90. And approve land divisions for Floa, Williams, and Sprague. All in favor. Billings Township had one run. Commissioner Smith gave a report. Meeting adjourned at 7:18 p.m. Michelle Brubaker clerk.
Any additions or corrections? Not to mention stand approved. Each member of the board has received a copy of the monthly treasurer's report. Are there any corrections? Not, the report stands approved. Any old business?
It was just noted that we had 275 voters turn out on election day.
With the fire millage?
Yes.
Yeah, by 211 to 58, something.
Mm-hmm.
That constitutes 10% of our voters. To approve 1.4 mil. Okay. Consent agenda this month consists only of paying the bills. Motion.
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. We'll get into the details of why most of the people are here in a minute, but first call I got about person suggested that perhaps the board would be willing to pay something for him to allow the youngsters to stay there. Subsequently, I talked to him, and what he wants is $200 a month. Based on the numbers he gives me of being 20 homes down there, they pay $2,000 a year for trash pickup. I don't think the rest of the township would approve of us spending that money. That 20 homes is the only place in the township that has centralized pickup. Everybody else gets the blue can in front of their house. We have no problems with that, but the township does not pay for it, and it has no approval. This is all put together by the property owners down there. Carl has an absolute right to put up no trespassing signs and order those things removed. But that's not township business. So, what are comments from the board as far as even considering this $200 fee? I'll put it this way, is there a motion to approve?
The garbage can be picked up in front of everybody's house, correct?
Yes, I had, the Republic came out and we drove the property and they said, I'll ask one more time, is there a motion? Okay. Just repeat it. Everybody that lives on that road has received Carl's packet.
They did not.
Huh?
He wasn't home.
Well, you have to get it from Carl.
Carl was in my house last night, didn't you?
I didn't make extra copies. I just made it for the board.
We'll get one.
So before we get into people raising their questions, we've got Carl's side, we do the township side. On the 17th of October, I issued Carl a ordinance violation notice. And contained in every violation notice that we issue is a statement that if you have questions or if you believe there's an error, call me. And my phone number is listed. Most people do call with questions at least. Carl didn't. In his letter to his neighbors, he states that the only junk on his property is the dumpster. That's totally untrue. Over the years, we've told Carl several times he has to clean up that storage area up near his house. And he's failed to do it. It has a lot of items classified as junk. And we have never, ever talked about those dumpsters being a problem. One year, Carl and I walked that storage area and I told him what needed to be done. Again, we've never talked about the dumpsters. This idea that we are making him take out those dumpsters is a lie. Pure and simple. Those dumpsters can stay right where they're at as far as this township is concerned. It's his property, and if he wants them gone, they'll have to be removed. You guys talk to him about that. The way I see this, and I can't read minds, but this looks like an attempt to make it look like everybody's picking on poor Carl. That's not true. We're enforcing an ordinance that we should have enforced years ago. Nobody else has ever had this much time without getting a violation notice. Now, in all the packets he sent you, all kinds of reasons why the township has no authority to do this. And yet, he complied with our notice. He took off the vehicles, he took off the junk in the time limit that we specified. I sent this whole packet over to our attorney, and he said it gave everybody in the office a good laugh. I'm talking about the private ordinances and fining anybody $25,000 a day on their property and payable in silver coin. And government officials to fine $1 million payable in silver coin. If you happen to have an 18-wheeler to carry. It'd be interesting to see how Carl expects to enforce that. I've had 3 calls since this stuff went out. One of them, why are we picking on Carl? And why didn't we ticket this mobile home right going in? We've had complaints about Carl, never had a complaint about this other guy. But now that I got one, I went out, he's in violation of the ordinance, and we cited him. Nobody's picking on Carl. Well, I had more I was going to say, but I think that's enough. Don, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, for the record, I'd like you to read into the record the
Show me
letter
what you
from
want to
Carl.
read.
Pardon?
Show me what you want to read into the record.
The letter from Carl.
No. We will attach it to the minutes, but we don't take detailed minutes. We don't take verbatim. So reading it in the record, there's no such thing as a township meeting. But if you ask that that letter be attached and made a part of the minutes, we'll do that.
Fine. So be it.
Okay. Make sure it's attached. And make a comment in the minutes that it's attached per time done request. Okay. First question. Yeah.
In your comment, you stated that
Please stand up.
for the record, when Tom done, for the record, you said there was no township, it's not township business. Could you explain yourself on that, please?
Yes. We did not ask that dumpster to be put there. We are not paying for that dumpster. That dumpster is there because Carl asked for it to be there. We've been doing this for 20-some odd years. The company apparently is glad to do it because they don't have to go around the houses and pick up individual cans. So they don't charge anybody for those dumpsters. If they remove them, then they'll go around and put the blue cans around.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I say it's not township business. We didn't ask for them, we're not paying for them. That letter that says the township lease is incorrect.
Is is the township currently paying Republic for anything?
Yep.
Explain, please, what they pay for.
Dumpsters.
We're paying them to pick up the garbage.
Then you're paying
We
for
don't,
the
Okay.
the fact that they pick it up out of the dumpster instead of the can makes no difference to us. If they want to put dumpsters in different groups around the township, if they can find room, the township will not object to it.
Oh, okay.
You're
All right.
paying that money to have your garbage picked up. You're not paying them to take it out of a blue can or a brown can or a dumpster.
So they're paying to have
Okay.
something.
All right, that explains that. And also, I would like to note just a couple of things too on property rights, which I guess your attorney's got a big laugh out of. But have you ever heard of Fairfield versus Univision Township?
Is that in here, Tom?
That's the very last page. I think you had better review the township's stand on jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is an important part. Property rights are very important to all of us. Land use is very important. I had a meeting.
Let's talk specifics. I don't want to hear a lot of stuff about another township because what you're dealing with.
I'm not talking about another township.
I know.
I'm talking about this township.
The rules that the courts enforce, most everybody can understand. The crux comes in when you apply them to the facts of a case. Now, we are enforcing junk ordinances and stuff that has.
You have to have jurisdiction.
Yes,
And you don't have jurisdiction on private property.
Don't Don't tell me the Constitution, tell me the court opinion.
I don't have to tell you a court opinion. You have to have jurisdiction,
Okay.
and the township has not proven that they do have lawful jurisdiction. I don't have to tell you about any court cases because you haven't ever provided one that you sat up there and talked about.
Okay.
I've been here many times and you've never said it.
What?
You've never provided one court case.
That's right.
I've provided court cases for Mr. Kramer. It's right there. And it says, common law and constitutional principles of government or sovereign immunity have never permitted government agents, actors, to commit trespass in violation of property rights. That's Township of Buena Vista, and you've got a copy of that.
I agree. The fact,
You have to be licensed.
when Carl put up those no trespassing signs, that included township officials.
Absolutely.
No argument about that. But the argument over...
Notice that, then you notice that I believe he provided you with notice previously to that in July.
That's right.
Okay. And you're in absolute full accord that private property rights and trespass laws do apply to township agents, actors, and officials. Is that correct?
That's right. The problem comes in...
There is no problem.
Yeah, the Michigan Supreme Court says we can enforce junk ordinances.
Show me the
I
law.
don't have to. And I'm not going to.
All you have to do
We issued
is
a-
trespass.
We issued a violation notice. If he had failed to comply,
Doesn't mean a thing.
he didn't, he complied. But if he failed to comply, we would have issued him a ticket. We'd have gone into court and they would have decided whether or not we had jurisdiction.
Are you familiar with the Administrative Procedures Act?
Yep. I don't know in detail, but I'm familiar with it.
You know that it exists.
Yeah.
Do you know what the primary jurisdiction of the township is? The original court of jurisdiction is?
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to tell me. Go ahead.
You're sitting in it. So you better read the Administrative Procedures Act, and you'd better read up on jurisdiction and private property. And I'm really glad to recognize that you do recognize that stepping on private property is a violation of state law, and you can be arrested and put in jail for it.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Once she posted no trespass sign, the criminal trespass act comes into effect. No
Thank you.
question about that. But the idea that we don't have jurisdiction to issue violation notices for junk, zoning, IMV, in and out of motor vehicles, if you challenge that, you challenge us in court. You don't challenge us at a meeting.
Oh, read the Administrative Procedures Act, sir. I was with the representative, our Senator Molinar today. I was also with Stamos and the director of the DEQ. We had a meeting. I absolutely had no idea what and where their jurisdiction lied, except that it was in the statutes. And when they left, they still didn't know. And we're going to find out because they don't know where jurisdiction lies. And I think it's very important that this township review jurisdiction and make sure you've got it right.
I'll look at it. I'll tell you what we're going to do.
So there's two different issues here, guys, kind of, you know what, and you've got very good points, and, you know, it's over here, you know, for me, but,
Frankly, I
you know, what are we gonna do about the dumpster? That's,
How did we get to the dumpster issue anyway?
that's really the crux of this whole thing. We issued a violation notice. Carl complied with the notice. He's no longer in violation. But he put out all this information that he wants the dumpsters removed from his property because the township's making them. Township is not making them. Never has, never considered it. So if he orders them removed, he does so on his own, not because we tell him to. Yes.
Excuse me, so trash is your trash as long as you say it's trash, but if he says it's trash, it's not. that's what you're saying.
I'm talking about.
No, that's what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Well, yes, the dumpster,
Thank you very much.
the purpose of the dumpsters is to take trash. That's what they're there for.
It's only trash in
But in
your
his
words.
storage
then.
area, near his home, that's not the place for junk. Or trash.
How many complaints did you get on the trash on Mr.
One.
Premer's property?
Whoever's talking, stand up.
I'm sorry, I'm Tad Faber. I'm just curious how many complaints you had on Mr. Premer's property for trash.
Say that again?
How many complaints did it take to get to this point with Mr. Premer? I'm just curious. I don't live in the subdivision, but I'm curious. I'm a Tobacco Township resident. Ballpark? Was it a problem in the community?
He just wants to know how many complaints you had on Bremer.
I'm sorry. I need to speak louder, I guess.
It only takes one.
One complaint.
It only takes one. Because we don't issue a ticket based on that complaint. That complaint may be, a lot of times we go out and look at it, and it's not a violation. Somebody is angry and wants to get their neighbor in trouble.
That's kind of where I was going with that, is if one person could do it and they have a problem with their neighbor, if that could trigger something like this, and that would be unfair.
But if
It happens.
we go out,
Right.
we go out to look at the violation that's claimed. If we don't find a violation, then they can make claims all day long. But I have to physically see the violation because I'm signing the ticket or the notice, not the person that called. Secondly, we never give out the names of the people that call. But if you did, start creating a neighbor problem like that, we wouldn't get the complaints. And while we don't wait totally for complaints, when we're out and about, we'll find some complaints. But probably 90% of the things we act on are neighbor complaints or people passing by. You know. So it only takes one to get us to go out there and take a look at it.
People passing by. Dead end road.
Anybody else?
Property. Private
No.
property.
You made a statement I'm very confused about. You said that if Republic wanted to put dumpsters throughout the township, that probably the township would go along with it.
Well, no.
But we're paying for garbage pickup. What I'm saying is, if they come along and said, we're gonna cut down our mileage on our garbage trucks, and we wanna put our dumpster in every mile,
I see what you mean.
we don't
No.
want to straight there.
If they come to us and say, we would like to put a dumpster here instead of individual pickup, we would have to get the neighbors, just like in this area. The neighbors arrange this. If the company comes to us first, then we're going to have to check with the neighbors and make sure this is acceptable. We're not going to allow the Republic to impose it on us. No,
We're paying, our assessment is garbage pickup on the public road.
yeah, it would have to be, and I can't envision where it can be done, but it would have to be to the advantage of the people that area is serving. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that Republic could put it any place they want.
Well,
Yes,
I was told that on our situation that we have dead-end roads, and Republic would not drive down there and pick up our cans.
I was told the same thing. Well, now, on your road, that's probably true.
Oh, wait a minute.
Like Republic came down, their operations manager and one other guy, and we drove both those roads going down there, and they said no problem. They would drive yours too, if you want them to, but yours is essentially a driveway. And I'm not sure you would want those big trucks to come down there.
Well, we were told that Republic wouldn't be paying for another driveway.
Yeah, that's why
Because then big trucks will tear
Carol
it up.
told me they would not come down. I called Republic. They came out and looked, because that's the only road in the township, and we have a bunch of private roads.
Well, Flock
That's the
Road
only
is a
one they don't go down.
Flock Road is a dead-end road too.
Yeah, and most of our private roads are dead end, but they go down there and pick up the house. this stuff was arranged by the neighborhood, which nobody has any problem with. It's good for the company, and apparently you guys like it. But it's not something that the township imposed, or that they're paying for, or is telling you that's got to end. Carl is telling you it's got to end, not us. Yes.
I've only been there 10 years, and it was there when I got there, but what I understand from before is that before it was Republic, nobody came down there to pick it up, and people just put it at the end of the road out on by the Guernsey and that, and it was quite the mess. Carl donated the property then and told them they could put dumpsters on to avoid that mess, that some were cleaning up and some wasn't, and from what I understood, it was really bad.
I think that's pretty much the way things happen.
Well, and
But you didn't have, I don't know if you had the, it's been so long ago, I don't know if you had the cans in front of your houses or.
well, I don't know if they did or didn't.
We had
My
nothing.
concern is that, like on some of the dead ends, there is no place, like at the end of Flock, to turn around a big truck like that without hitting something on private property.
Yeah,
So where do we haul the cans out to?
they indicated that they could go down that road, they could even go down to that last house and pick up. But they would have to back up to at least the next driveway, and they would need his permission to turn.
I was gonna say, I know.
On the other road,
Tried to get ours and.
the man who owns that property has already said he would give them permission to use his turnaround. But you're missing the point. Nothing, we have no control over this. You're not entitled to have a simple pickup. Nice if you got it, and if we can figure out a way of being able to keep it, that's fine. But we're not going to pay for it, because it's not fair to the rest of the population. We got people with quarter-mile deep.
What does our assessment then pay for?
Garbage pickup
For the pickup.
at the curb.
At our curb,
There you go.
which is considered Guernsey Road then, out back?
No.
Or my driveway?
Right your driveway.
Driveway.
Okay.
Now,
Well,
what I'm saying, you guys need to talk to Carl about leaving it there. But if he won't agree to it, he has a right to have it removed. But don't come to the township board saying, we're inconvenienced, you gotta do something. We're not gonna do anything, because you're not entitled to any more than the other 1,500 property owners are.
Well, I'm not asking for that, truthfully. I have 4 properties that I'm paying assessment on, and I take my garbage either to other places or I take it up to that dumpster. I have other options. I'm fortunate that way.
Yeah.
But would we be able to get our assessments then and pay our own garbage
Nope.
back on our properties? It's up to us just to pay instead of getting our assessments back.
Once you've, now,
So
You-
I have you
you-
pick it up?
You opened a can of worms when you incorporated Carl's property as a junk. That was his property that you issued the ticket on, and then dumpsters was on his property. So you opened a can of worms, not
Yes, you
Carl.
did.
are you one of those that thinks that a person can do anything he wants on his property?
We should be able to.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah,
Somebody gotta raise a hand.
I do, yeah, we all do.
This is not a
There's a
subdivision
lot of
or
people
city.
that believe that. That's not a problem.
You do.
That's right.
The township doesn't believe it. The Supreme Court of Michigan doesn't believe it. And here's what's gonna happen, just like we always do. We get a violation, we'll issue a notice. If that person thinks that we don't have the authority, then he's gonna go in court with us, and let the court make that decision.
Be more than happy.
Let's get back to the dumpster thing.
This gentleman still thinks that you issued a violation about the dumpsters. Could you please clarify what your violation issue was for?
You know,
The issue of the violation was
I understand it's not.
near his house in that storage area. We didn't say that.
Would you read the violation, please?
I'll call on you. Nobody said anything about those dumpsters, except Carl. Now,
It said
I'm
trash
not arguing, because he has the right to do that.
We don't have trash.
Would you
bottles
please
and that
read
kind of stuff
the
up there.
violation, because you didn't say what the violation was for either. Please read it.
We had a violation for,
Excuse me, please read it.
Well, I'm not gonna read
Why not?
the whole thing.
It's pretty short.
It's pretty
very
short.
long.
Just read
And it
it.
certainly isn't concise. Trash and junk.
Well, what's your question?
I just have two quick things to say. Before you call anybody a liar or that they lied, you better make sure everybody in this room has every fact that you're talking about, because that's bunk. The other thing is, this all started because I read the little letter you sent, and in that letter, that trash is, that's in that letter. That is considered, there's everything from ashes to silverware in there.
Yep.
Now, what do you think, what would you do?
Well, when a person gets a list like that, he knows if he doesn't have any barrels, you know. In Carl's case, he had machine parts, parts of vehicles and stuff like that.
No.
That's part of it.
Excuse me, if you would read what you sent out, I FOIA'd additional complaints that you had sent out, and most of those were pretty concise as to a blue car, a blue Ford, a blue van. This one was as wide open as Lake Michigan is in the summertime. You were not specific. I think you had additional coercion from a neighbor who you've been seen going down to their house several times. And I think that's where the situation lies. Now, it was your trash and junk ordinance that had everything in there that those dumpsters had in it. Barring anything else that Mr. Creamer might have had, which I happen to have looked at that as well. And if you were on his property looking, that's not admissible in court either.
The neighbor that you're talking about has never complained to me. So you guys can think what you want. Believe an untruth is your own responsibility. If he didn't understand about the inoperable motor vehicle, why did he remove it? I think he understood exactly. And previously, I had walked that property with him and showed him what needed to be done. So if he thought that we didn't have the authority, the thing to have done was to ignore it and let the court decide. But he cleaned it up just like we asked him to. Yes.
When was the last time you were down there?
Just before the day before I issued the violation.
Oh, really?
The problem with Carl.
Then how do you know that the stuff is gone?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was down there.
Excuse me.
Again?
Twice I was down in that area before I issued the violation.
Okay.
Which was in July. And once was 15th to 16th of October. And the stuff was still there. Now, I told Carl at 2 meetings here, we had a discussion about the letter he sent me. I told him we were going to issue the violation notices. And we finally did.
How did you know the stuff was gone?
We went down and looked.
Oh, really? So you were on his property after
No.
the signs were up?
Unfortunately for you guys, you don't need to trespass to see that violation.
Oh,
You
really?
can stand on that road
No, you can't.
and see everything you need to see.
And look in the woods.
Huh?
And look in the woods.
No, there's somebody
You
telling.
got an open,
I still think you need to read your notice as to how unclear it is.
The notice needs to be read. Because anybody here could get
I'll
one.
consider in the future, but it certainly doesn't apply here because
Yes,
he
it
has
does.
complied with that unclear.
Please read the notice.
But any one of us as a township resident could receive that same notice. We'd like to be aware of what it is that you consider a violation.
I've asked to have the notice read, please.
Was the complainer a permanent resident?
Right.
I'm not going to tell you.
Well,
Because you know the issue.
What's not the one that you guys seem to think it is?
I would still like it read, please.
No, because he's your best friend. You've had your time.
We live on Creamer Drive, next to Carl. And I understand we live in a zoned community, R1A, residential 1A zoning, correct? And in reality, even though Carl's been there a long time, he's allowed to run a business there, which I do understand. And he's allowed to have a certain amount of equipment. But you cannot go and take and dump unused equipment in the woods, in the grass, anywhere, and leave it inoperable and just sitting there to rust and turn your property into a junkyard. That's what zoning is for. And the township has the full capability to enforce their zoning requirements. And everyone down there, except Carl, is down there in a residence, not running a business. I don't have a business running out of my house. My neighbor doesn't. The other neighbors, I don't know that any of them do. But anyone who has a lot of equipment or RVs or anything has built themselves pole barns or large garages and has everything stored where it is not becoming an eyesore.
Don't look.
When it's out in the open and it's within my eyesight from my property, I can look at it. If you don't want me to see it, that's fine. I'll put it, you
I don't think, hey, let's keep it here, not between everybody, let's.
Sit down back there. Sit down, both of you. Sit down. You address the board. Don't argue with each other. You'll get your turn.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Clark.
Go ahead.
Address
the board then. Finish what you have to say.
I am. I'm addressing Mr. Clark. You address me, sir. If you want to have equipment, junk, RVs, whatever, that's fine. Either you fence it in, or you build a garage, or you take it to a storage facility. In an R1A residential zoned area, you don't leave it around to rust and go to crap in the woods for anybody to see, even yourself. If you want to, that's fine. If you have 40 acres and you live in the center of it and there's nobody around you for 20 acres, that's fine. Nobody's going to see it, even if they stand at the road. But if you have a nice home that you live in, that you keep up, and everybody's paying taxes on, you have the obligation to keep the area in a reasonable rate, in a nice way. And that's either to fence it in or cover it up. You can have your business and do that, fine. But it can't intrude on the other people's property, or they're having the open joy to use their property any way they want. Nobody's trying to tell anybody how to use their property.
Sit down, please. Everybody, I think, has made the point. We're not going to convince each other, but this township will enforce its ordinances until somebody takes us to court and proves it's wrong. Or, on the alternative, and we've had this done before, give us a legal opinion from their attorney, and we'll take it to ours. And we've had occasions where the two agreed, and we said, okay, that's the way it is. But we're doing what we believe is right, and only a judge can tell us that we are illegal, okay? And that means somebody who gets ticketed actually going to court. So for all this information that we get that's saying we have no jurisdiction, Carl still decided to comply with the ordinance. And that's all we care about.
I do have a question on that.
Yeah, come on, Carl.
I want to know, you, him, up back there, whoever, how do you know what's junk when I got a snowplowing business, I dig graves, and multiple things like that? I need scrap iron. And you bet I need scrap iron. And I try to keep it out of sight.
You operate a grandfathered, non-conforming business. And so that means you can have that equipment back there.
Right.
Non-conforming business does not allow you to have stuff laying all over the place.
All right, he's talking about...
If you want to put it in your building, you can keep anything you want.
Well, he's talking about something back in the woods. I didn't have nothing back in the woods except a grader truck that I grade the roads out there with. Now what's wrong with that? Where am I supposed to put it so they can't see it? I put it back in the woods. Where
think
to
at
get
one
time
time,
to go.
Carol, when I was on there, I was down and talked to you about that.
Mhm.
And it was supposed to have been a fenced-in area where you put anything you was keeping there for parts or whatever you needed them for.
Right?
That fence was never put up.
No.
Yes, it was. It was put up in 2 days.
Okay, fine.
2 days it was put
Okay,
up.
so it was put up. Why isn't the stuff put in it then? If you knew enough to build that fence, why don't you?
It is.
It is.
It is in the
It's in the
fence.
fence.
And they're still complaining.
If you can't quit talking without being called on, I'll adjourn this meeting. Every one of you have had the chance to talk. I don't have to give you a third and fourth chance.
So what are we gonna do about the dumpsters?
How did we get to the dumpsters? Can you put that letter, that notice in, or the violation in the minutes too? And so we can all read that one too, since you won't read it aloud? Because any one of us could read, they get that.
Anybody that wants to stick around after this meeting and wants a document that I will make copies of.
Sounds good.
Yes, Cindy.
If the dumpsters are removed, when can we get cans and can we get more than one?
They will, the company has given a proven need. They've given more than one can. What they said, we talked about when they came out, was that when they come out to take the dumpsters, they'll bring out the cans. Supposed to be in the same day.
I can only get one for my resident, not my other 3 properties then?
No, well, you only
If you're
get-
paying an assessment on it, you can get one for each
Okay.
You only get one for a residence.
resident.
But you talk to them, and in several places they've given them additional ones because they don't make you actually prove it, but you give them a good reason and they'll bring out an extra one.
The township can't get you that extra one. You gotta do it yourself with the company.
That's fine, I've talked to them before.
Yeah, so we're not paying for one per property. Okay, anybody on a different
I got
subject?
some more to say here. She asked what we're gonna do with dumpsters. As far as I'm concerned, if the township board would just plain leave me alone, I don't bother these people. These people are on my neck about some damn thing here or there. You know, why you grade the road before we come up or something like that, you know. Then dumpsters can stay right there. I don't have a problem with that. They can
Just
stay
leave
there.
us alone.
I would like, just leave us alone.
Carl, you'll be left alone as long as you comply with the ordinance.
Well, I think you have to.
I have complied, I'm not putting no, let me ask you this now. There's a woods there and I do hunting in that woods. I ain't putting no damn 10-foot fence up there that you put in that ordinance. That ordinance should be scrapped and a real ordinance made.
Well,
That's kind of stupid. What?
If you show us that a lesser fence would serve the purpose, we're not, this stuff isn't written in cement. You show us that you can hide that stuff with a lesser fence, and we'll approve it.
Well, if you don't have jurisdiction, you can't approve anything.
Well, take it to court. When you take it to court, if the judge says we don't have jurisdiction, we'll apply. But I tell you what,
When you're
this
arrested-
court in Gladwin sent a man to jail on junk ordinance, identical wording to ours. We've been to court 3 times on our zoning ordinance and upheld every time. So what we're dealing here with a matter of opinion, only a judge can settle. Yes.
I don't live in your township, but I did for a very long time. I lived there when there were trailers, and there weren't any of these multi-million-dollar homes. And my home that I grew up in was the prettiest home on that lake. And yes, Dad acquired what I would consider junk. But it isn't junk to him. He is going to be 70s, 80s years old. Come on, guys. I understand that you're neighbors.
But I have never, when I grew up there, when the neighbors came up, it was so exciting and cool because we got to have people around us. The neighbors, I hear you guys bicker and bitch about so much stuff. It looks, honestly, if you would, the last 10 years, it looks so much better than it did 10 years ago. The building, there was a building put up. He never had that before. He put a fence. You asked him to put a fence. You showed him where to put it, and he put it there. He has more stuff actually than what would go behind it, but you said that was fine, and he removed stuff then. He has removed. I have watched him remove and take things and, to the junk place many, many times. And you are right in the sense that it is a neighbor issue. And there are a lot of, I'm sorry, we are from the country. If you look behind farms, we are the country. I don't care if you come up from the city and you decide to come and live around that lake. We are up here in the country, and that's the way things have been for years.
Well,
it's just, you take, I don't even know what exactly I'm trying to say, except for I sit here and I listen, and he doesn't want to remove them dumpsters because he wanted to do what was best for his neighbors years ago, 20 years ago. And do you know that he has to clean that place up all the time because people leave all kinds of stuff, furniture. Mom goes by there, she has to pick it up. We have work days where we have to pick up around those dumpsters. It's so much crap blows in the woods that we have to clean the woods up.
The township didn't put the dumpsters there, ma'am.
I know, but I'm saying, neighbors, leave him alone.
Thank you. Yes.
we're adjourned.